Every time you bring people together, a culture develops. That culture either develops organically and naturally, and therefore may or may not end up with what you want, or it can be developed with purpose. NACE's culture, when it comes to accountability, really comes from three core beliefs. One is that we need to be people who care and care deeply about what we do, our work, our business, our coworkers, our customers. It also comes from, and is a core tenet, is being people who are accountable. And that really means being people who are responsible and take responsibility. And the third part is to be open to giving and receiving feedback. If you have those three tenets, you're going to build a foundation that's going to build a culture of accountability. We use the book Change the Culture, Change the Game as a guide or a tool. It brought a lot of great wisdom on how you build a culture. And one of the things it said is your culture comes out of what your people believe about the organization. So for a simple example, what is it we want people to believe about the definition of accountability? Accountability is one of those words that has a lot of tentacles that hang off of it, meaning a lot of people have a different definition of what accountable means based on their past experiences. Accountability is a lot like the word risk. It does have negative connotations and it can be negative outcomes. But for the most part, accountability has positive connotations. That's where our reward's going to come from. That's where our recognition's going to come from. That's where we're going to be able to celebrate our successes. So we wanted people to believe very differently about the word accountability. We ultimately ended up defining it, taking a fairly simple phrase from Change the Culture, Change the Game, which is simply see it, own it, solve it, and do it. That's what it means to be accountable. I believe accountability starts in the CEO's position. And although it starts there and it can be defined there, and you can define that culture of accountability and communicate it, it's not owned exclusively by the top management. It has to be owned by all the people in the organization. If the individuals who work for you, the team members that are part of the team, haven't embraced it and accepted it as their own and become part of helping make this happen, then the accountability really fails. It doesn't happen. It has to be rooted and sit within each and every individual and who they are and how they act and how they behave. By having a culture of accountability, we've seen several positive business effects. One is that our people really do enjoy working here, and they enjoy working in an environment of accountability. Time and time again, whenever we speak to our employees about the organization, the culture of accountability rises to the top as the most important reason why they come to work every day. This has resulted in us having almost zero turnover. So we've eliminated those significant costs associated with bringing and recruiting new people and training. And more importantly, we have people now who've been with us long periods of time that have a lot of experience, and they continue to ingrain in us this accountability. The second big benefit we've received is in an organization that by design operates on thin margins. Year after year after year, we hit our financial goals. And isn't that really one of the core reasons why we exist as businesses? We must, as much as we are a mission-driven organization, if we don't have strong financial performance, our mission will suffer. So for us, having a culture of accountability really helps us achieve the mission and why we exist. By having a culture of accountability, I think it's core and parcel to who we are as Christians, as believers. When we act and behave with accountability, as God has called us to do, as Jesus has called us to do, we do glorify God. We become an example to the rest of the world of what it means to be a believer and to be a Christian. And by doing that, and by being that example to the world, being that light, God is glorified in that. If you really think about it, everything that defines our faith is about accountability. The Bible is a great book about accountability. God calls us to be accountable as believers, and He's going to hold us accountable at some point. And therefore, doesn't it just make sense that as Christians, we embrace accountability and we make it part of who we are, and we hold others accountable?